Richard Marks, candidate for Harbor District. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here, Jonathan.
So, what's prompting you to make this foray once more into the political waters here in Humboldt Bay?
Continuance of my public service. I'm right now currently on the Samoa Peninsula Fire District, and I'm also serving on the Humboldt County Democratic Central Committee. And I just thought I would try something a little bit different this time. And I've lived in eyesight of the bay and worked right alongside the bay for over 30 years, and I just think that it would be a good fit for me to serve on that board.
What would you say are the big issues facing the Harbor District these days?
Well, right now, financial problems. In the since 1998, there was a reserve of about $7 million for the coffers there at the Harbor District. Now it's down to about $3 million, and just try to look at new innovative ways of maybe to create revenue. And of course, I wouldn't know exactly what to do that way until I actually am on board.
Mm-hmm. Now I understand the Harbor District does owe the city of Eureka quite a bit of money. Supposedly it's over $1 million. As the seat that does represent Eureka as well as Samoa on the Harbor District, do you feel a special responsibility in seeing that this does get paid back in a timely manner, given that Eureka is facing quite a few budget problems of its own?
Yeah, I'd like to see what actually the agreement is. I'm not completely clear what type of arrangement they have made and what the payback schedule was, and so honestly, I couldn't give you a good answer to that question.
What about the rails versus trails thing? Is it necessarily one or the other? What would you like to see? Is a trail possible without paving over the railroad tracks?
Yes. Living on the peninsula, I've walked that area extensively around the peninsula, and I could see where we could come to a compromise on creating a trail somewhere that's not going to impede the right-of-way of the railway. And so I think you can have both rails and trails.
And so, how would you go about doing that? Is there really enough room there next to 101, or would an alternate route have to be considered?
Well, I think there is room there. It would take a lot of compromise, for people that have lands, but I'm sure it could be done. The rail was put in at one time also.
Mm-hmm. One idea I've heard proposed is adding a pedestrian bike access across Samoa Bridge and letting folks go up that way, given that obviously there's less traffic on Highway 255 versus Highway 101 there. Is that an idea that's at all feasible?
Oh, that would be ideal. Living out on the peninsula and seeing, people endangering themselves just crossing that bridge, pedestrian and bike-wise. I'd like to see some sort of alternative pathway, but, that would be kind of costly, and I haven't heard too many proposals on that. Mm-hmm. I know Lacey Wilson did take a huge pay cut, and I would have to see once I was on the board to observe, take a look and see what he has done so far. From the outside looking in, I would just be using a personal judgment. I wouldn't be using one that isn't necessarily learned.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, one of the biggest expenses the Harbor District has is dredging, keeping the bay open enough so ships can get in, but not so many ships are coming in these days. Do you think that's money well spent as well?
Well, safety-wise, as one who's been across that bar, yeah, I think that there does need to be dredging right there at the entrance to keep it safe, number one. And of course, keep our options open. Even if we're going to have barges like in short sea shipping, you're going to still need that barge to be calmed down, and you need to dredge there. There are places on the bay that are naturally are dredged themselves, so to speak, over on the west side of the bay. There's a lot of troughs through there that actually naturally keep themselves around 38 feet deep.
Mm-hmm. And short sea shipping, do you think that's a realistic feature given the general downturn in global commerce and international shipping?
Yeah, and I would say that I think right now it might be viable in the case of Fox Farms, where they're having to truck a lot of their organic soil off of Fairhaven. I think that one solution to that problem might be barging. Barging in soil from Canada and barging it out to wherever they distribute their soil. Mm-hmm. I mean, that of course is not my expertise. I know that there's been looks and feasibilities about, using in a short time span, the different docks around the bay with short sea shipping. So it's something that can be done quickly because you can bring in a mobile crane to help unload product, and so that's a quick fix. Now, in the long term, what do we want to do as far as building the whole infrastructure of the harbor? That's the bigger picture, and of course, that's where you start talking about rail. You don't want to, necessarily turn away the rights of the the rails, in case in the future, they do return. And in what form, I don't know. Whether it's through the Eel River Canyon or an alternate route, there's going to be a lot of environmental impact, and so that's going to be something that the public's going to have, on their plate too. It's not necessarily just going to be a harbor commissioner making a lot of those decisions.
How much influence do you really think the Harbor District has over the future of the rail line?
I think they take leadership role even in the railway, and they already have it at times. And so, they're a part of the puzzle, but they're a big piece of the puzzle. And of course, in the past, they've even had somebody on the NCRA board. So yeah, they can have an impact.
And as far as how the district members get along with each other, the district seems to have gone from a rather low, almost under the radar public profile to one that's kind of become the center of some controversy and a lot more electioneering than we used to see. Are you concerned that the what's really an infrastructure type job that the district does has become too politicized?
No, I don't think it's become too politicized. I think having actually more public involvement is a good thing, and just like the economic committee that they came up with, it's become more transparent, and I think it's a good thing to have people talking to each other, even if they're opposing each other, to get input of everybody, so at least some way or down the road you can come to a consensus. And I've heard both sides say good things, both sides being rails versus trails type people that are actually getting together and having dialogue and trying to come to some solutions. I think it's been a really positive thing. I think that the more publicity, the better.
A lot of people talk about lack of resources to accomplish a lot of these infrastructure projects. City of Eureka redevelopment does seem to have quite a bit of money in their coffers even after the recent state budget crisis. Would you like to see the City of Eureka step up and take more of a direct role in pursuing this sort of economic development?
Well, they've always been in the forefront in Humboldt County of, that's our economic hub, and so I would like to see them continue on being aggressive and trying to do development. Do something that's proactive, that brings jobs into Humboldt County. I guess my main theme would be jobs, and of course, it needs to be happening quickly because we're at a really poor state in Humboldt County.
One thing that was supposed to help bring jobs in Humboldt County was the Headwaters Fund, but obviously that's seen its share of criticism recently, that it's a board of folks appointed by elected officials. There's a bit of two steps removed sort of thing from the public there, and obviously we haven't seen much of any of their money going towards improving the harbor or the bay facilities or even the recreation and conservation aspects of the district. Would you like to see Headwaters Fund Board work better with the Harbor District towards getting resources where they need to go?
I would like to see the Headwaters funds be more directed toward aggressively creating business in Humboldt County. I really feel that that's a source that should be used more readily. Personally, I tried to garner some Headwaters funds for an employee stock option plan buyout of the pulp mill. Found the process to be very difficult, and I think it should be more user-friendly to the general public, and even seeing where public entities seem to be having issues on trying to garner those funds. That's a whole different issue. We could sit here all night, and if I break out all the information on Headwaters, we could have a whole nother dialogue.